of course, how they are set up for success now that we are into the draft. Notably, things like the Vayne and the Cassiopeia taken away. I'm also just noticing the Shen standing out as a ban in the first round, but Vi first pickup is not a big surprise.
Ooh, Nefiri Rise. Is this what we're going to get from WE? I know we saw the Rise Lee Sin, but I have not been a fan of Monkey's Lee Sin so far this season. It's one of the few champions that I actually think he should probably keep a couple of games away from on stage. And this has been just a really strong duo to play. It has kind of been the de facto Nefiri combo in my mind. Great map play, perfect amount of flexibility in terms of maneuverability with the Nefiri, and gives Monki keys to the kingdom when it comes to being able to carry a game.
On the other side of this, perfect pairing with the Vi. Ahri looks, as always, very good to pick up these two champions together. Does leave you with a lot of agency through the mid lane and through the mid jungle duo, more so than perhaps some other pairings, even when considering the Rise and Nefiri. And then the Rumble Cassante matchup gets locked in by these two, so we are just waiting on our bot lanes, really.
This could be difficult, I think, for JDG. A pain point that we've had this split, and for most of the year, honestly, has been Gala's performance. He hasn't been that clutch player that we've known in years past. I kind of get a little bit frustrated when I hear some of our other casters talk about, like, Invictus Gaming last year when Gala was on that team, because they're like, Gala's been playing well all year, all of 2025, and I was like, no, he was not. Do we not remember some of those early IG games? Those were really tough, and he got it towards the end of the year, but we're just not seeing that level of progression. So I think if you're WE, I like the fact that we got rid of the Lucian. You also have to imagine, hey, are we going to get rid of things like the Jhin? Are we going to be looking towards getting rid of things like Caitlyn? Even though it's early into the series, I just want to make sure, or WE would want to make sure that Gala and JDG don't have a strong bottom lane.
Especially because they're Vi Ahri Rumble combination is going to be able to buy a lot of space, is going to draw a lot of attention off of any bot lane that gets locked in here. Gala and Vampire do have perhaps a little bit more room than they have had in other series to stretch their wings and maybe make this more competitive than they have in recent series. However, WE will get to define this matchup by locking in the first of 4 in our bot lane, and feels apt that I thought about it as first of 4, considering who we're considering.
He heard your name. He heard the number appear in the ether. Just had to get snapped up. I love this. If we're thinking that Jhin and Sivir are going to be what these two teams are going to be picking in this slot, I would much rather, as WE, have Jhin on my team and then have it say, hey, you're going to play Sivir into Nefiri, Rise, and Cassante. Good luck, have fun in esports. You're not going to have a good time as we get later in the game, even if Sivir is supposed to be this hyper carry going later. Seems like JDG, though, kind of leaning towards Ashe. Could still be Ashe with what we saw was the Lulu. Seraphine's obviously great pairing, and we'll see that there. So a good enough lane that's going to have a lot of agency early. It seems like WE want to have a lot of single target bursts, want to have access to some good playmaking with Rise, Nefiri, and whatever the support pick is here for Erha.
Yeah, for my money, putting Ashe Seraphine here is not just a good choice, it's a great choice. Ashe is going to enable basically everyone else on your team who already does boatloads of damage to not only have more information on the map, but be able to set up a bunch of plays. The Seraphine gets to do that very same thing, enabled by the Ashe to do even more. And an Alistar lock-in on the other side of this, I think speaks to respect for that on WE. Now you've got a little bit more tanky frontline, you've got a little bit more ability to disengage, but also to escape from the crowd controller, to at least help your team escape with the Unbreakable Will.
So this game for JDG kind of needs to get snowballing early. You are going to be playing Ahri into Rise, which you can get push into Rise early, but after the first couple of recalls, he gets the Chain Lace Crushers, he gets his Roa, he's basically immovable versus this team, and I am looking at a 3-item Rise plus Nefiri. That sounds unbeatable for WE, and this Ahri and Vi have been nerfed so many times, including the Ashe Seraphine getting nerfed this year. There are so many different things that can go wrong here for JDG. It's a okay team fight composition, but one that falls off really quickly in comparison to their opponents. And Cassante also is gonna have a field day if we get into these team fights.
Definitely WE have a lot of strength the later in this game we go, and JDG have not just put themselves on a timer, but have drafted themselves the tools to meet it if they are able to use them appropriately, if they are able to, in fact, play a little bit more aggressively than we have seen from JDG, if they are able to go for those, I don't want to say low percentage, but maybe unorthodox plays that can get you the lead. Can JDG show us a different side of themselves? Because the battle for 4th place starts now.
We are in JDG's home arena for the very last match of Week 3. And like you said, battle for 4th. WE already won this matchup in Week 1. So getting the head-to-head against JDG in 2-0 fashion would be really, really good for making sure that by all conversations, as long as their season continues to go pretty smoothly, WE's looking to try to position themselves as a 3rd, 4th team here in the LPL. Both junglers are going to be pathing towards the opposite side. They do have vision on some of their camps, so they'll see where each other are or have an idea. And I look at this game and I think, man, WE basically have a lot of the same kind of style of play in terms of what their champions bring that JDG do have, but I just think they scale so much better. And we didn't even talk about the majority stacking of like magic damage or the insane amount of value that Merktreads is going to get this game.
Yeah, I had not even started thinking about that myself, but Merktreads do look nice. I'd be thinking about picking some of those up myself. They can look at our junglers early on because these two are going to dictate so much of how this matchup goes. We do already have a really early reset from Monki, who will be spotted as he moves over onto his blue up. The same vision is not mirrored looking at JunJia, who's just starting on his blue.
Saw the ping go out. There is 2 places that he could be. He could be going through the top lane because they're setting up, you see that cube right now on the top side is actually proxying between the turrets. Could set up for a dive versus an early rumble. Most likely the safe play is he's going to be sitting in his topside jungle. And Cube, he knows, look, I saw that there's no Krugs here. I can just freely farm. We are never getting ganked in this top lane, and we're just going to kind of basically never look at this lane ever again. So I hope everyone got their fill of looking at Cassante on your screen.
Yeah, well, you know, later on in the team fights, he'll get his moment. But
yeah.
Laning against Rumble, it's pretty uninteractive anyway, so he just decides not to do that. And who can blame him? Mid lane, like you say, the lane at this time going to be something that HongQ has a little bit more autonomy in. But once Karis gets the first couple of backs, he's going to be missing out on that. And Karis takes his first back now. Chose not to run the teleport instead. Went with Ghost in this game, so
yeah,
backing on a good timing is going to be important, which makes it funny, but he ended up canceling it.
He just leaned over. He's like, hey, Monki, are you doing topside scuttle? And he's like, yes. Yes, I am, brother. Would you like to come help me get some wards? He says, yes. I'll put a ward right next to the Raptor pit. Not quite in the same area. We'll see that JDG actually get information on this. Karis cancels his recall yet again. I don't think it's going to have a huge influence. I think mostly the summoner spell difference that you noted is going to be probably the biggest change. But home guards plus Ghost, and then once he gets access to his ultimate, means that Karis is going to have, I think, a better version of the teleport. And because Rise is a rather short-range mage, he kind of needs the Ghost to get around anyway.
Yeah, but I think when we get into the late game, we could see this have a bigger impact in terms of how JDG are able to play the map. It'll come down to some pretty niche situations if we see these champions be notably different in their gameplay impact. At the moment, it has been a pretty calm early game, mostly because Monki hasn't decided to start a fight just yet, and I say just yet because he's clearly thinking about it around the mid lane. Karis, popping the Ghost really early on, is going to use a Ruin Prison to lock down HongQ, but Monki doesn't get a whole lot for his time. Flash, however, is a very, very nice bonus, especially with teleport already having been burned.
Yeah, HongQ gets back to lane and he's like, well, I'm half HP. probably just going to have to stay underneath my turret, and Karis is going to get level 6 on this wave. So with Monki finishing his topside camps, there's a very real possibility that with WE setting up, we could actually have a visit towards the bottom lane. Otherwise, do you think that there's maybe an angle to try to punish Xiaoxu? He does have ultimate, so likely you'd be trading the Rumble Equalizer for the Rumble himself, and you'll get that kill. But a lot of options being opened up. Great job early game here by Monki to find an early summoner spell advantage, as well as set up his mid lane.
Karis gets to big chilling clear the wave now that there's essentially nothing to stop him. Anything here is going to be spotted as he moves down towards Scuttle, and Monki on the way as well is going to be pinged out. So the contest on JunJia is a very real threat right now. No level 6s in bot lane, but still a cleanse going to be forced out of a bout even before that mark, making him very vulnerable in a couple minutes.
Ooh, that ward in mid lane actually became so important for JDG. They saw Monki cross through the lane, and with the bot lane trading at the same time, they thought, hey, WE's thinking we can go for a trade. We can actually send both Monki and this Rise to try to contest JunJia.
Erha's here. This is very, very bad positioning from JunJia, who uses his first ult just to die. Karis picks up the kill, and WE, as you were, they didn't even have to go significantly out of their way for that.
You say that was bad positioning from JunJia. I just think he doesn't understand that Erha could be there. He's like, hey, my bot lane just won a huge trade, right? About used his cleanse. They got massive poke damage onto Erha. They're probably recalling. That's what's going through JunJia's mind. At least that's what I'm thinking. And so that was incredibly clutch from WE. That's first blood onto Karis. That's going to be that Rod of Ages or that Catalyst getting completed that much sooner, and some way to actually generate a lead from what has been a rather losing bot lane. You pick the Jhin usually to mitigate or go even. 20 CS and a 2 plates bot lane is huge.
Gala's been having the time of his life. I'm not sure if that'll turn into a dragon contest as that gets started up by WE, but with JunJia up topside, it looks like WE will be picking up the first dragon, the Hex Tech of this game, completely for free. JunJia grabs his own bread, and we were saying this a lot during the series this morning, but early, or relatively early dragons do give you the chance to contest Void Grubs later on instead of just trading the objectives away for each other.
Yeah, 20 seconds till it spawns. Karis is recalling now, so any damage that we can see from these teams, highly likely. I think Monki needs to choose. Are we walking top lane to contest for camps, or are we walking bottom lane with our level 6 Nefiri? Because right now, JunJia's already started up the blue buff. If he shows on this lane, it's going to be his entire top side, the Scuttle, and then maybe Grubs on top of it. JunJia's not going to be super greedy, just going to be the blue buff, control of this top side, and I like what we're seeing from the solo lanes of JDG, where HongQ is pushing his advantage, already has the ultimate, he can move into River, and you're playing Rumble. You're almost always going to be able to at least gain some kind of priority versus a Cassandra.
Ult comes out, and about flashless and cleanseless cannot dodge it. He can, however, trade a bit of damage back. Gala trapped very close to the tower, but not quite close enough.
Ooh.
Tank the tower shots. Does end up surviving, even with Vampire low. These last Void Grubs going to go down to Monki. And HongQ should be able to walk this one out as well. I think JDG and WE both pretty happy, basically across the map with the last couple of minutes, albeit Gala and Vampire coming out significantly the worse for wear. Karis going to force ult out of HongQ with just the Ghost. And with Monki waiting on the side, there's no small wonder why HongQ's playing with that respect.
I agree, HongQ. If I saw a Ghost, I'm freaking out. I'm immediately backing up. I'm using my Spirit Rush. I'm getting out of dodge. Realm War plus Monki here. They could look for a topside play. This is going to be Xiaoxu. Likely just has to lose this entire way. Oh, and Monki doesn't get in.
Well, that's that play. I think if Monki were there, they probably still don't get the kill. But definitely without Monki there, that's not happening.
It would have felt really nice, you know. Talk about the synergy there. Vampire moves over just to see if they can contest another Raptors camp. Doesn't seem like that's going to be the play. Wonder if JDG can squeeze a little bit more, because now About can't step up. He doesn't have Flash. Cleanse is up, but Erha's also really far from being able to get at this. So very respectful from the rookie AD carry.
Erha rejoining him. About finally gets to touch the CS underneath his own tower again. JunJia doing a great job of counter jungling while he is here, continuing to apply pressure. Although in the mid lane, talk about pressure, HongQ under it right now, even underneath his own tower, but with Monki tanking up one tower shot too many. WE bite off a little more than they can chew. And JunJia thinks about taking an extra chomp.
I'm so sorry. I'm watching all of this. I look at the minimap and I just suddenly see Cassante stop moving for like 3 seconds. I'm like, I think the Ashe ultimate may have went top lane, guys. No one told him.
Seems like he is just fine. Oh, we do actually get to see top lane again. I thought this lane was canceled until further notice.
It should be. I don't know why we went there. Oh, this is cheeky. Erha with a award that we saw from Monki get placed. They're getting the vision of the Fey Lights. They have all of this information on the top side of the map. They're just gonna walk into this. They're gonna spot all. Maybe they can make a play because Cube.
Everyone is here. Cube looked like he got out over the wall. That is
We're going.
Very nice channel to survive, but like you say, JDG want to continue this play. All Out, however, does take JunJia a little further than he wanted. And WE make a very coordinated play, surprisingly.
Yeah, that got a little dicey there. You know, the flash that Monki didn't use when he died to HongQ in mid lane, he got to use it there. A very nice play coming in from Cube. That's 2 kills now here for Karis, who gets to start this game off like an incredibly fed Rise. Problematic here for this JDG team, who we already said is kind of starting with a deficit. They need to be able to get the 8-ball rolling early. They gave up the first dragon. Seemingly, they didn't get a majority of the grubs. And right now, we're seeing a Rise who is already off to an amazing start. 800 gold up at 12 minutes.
Perhaps second dragon will be where they're able to find success. I mean, JDG have certainly had nothing short of it in the bot lane right now. Gala and Vampire have just been having their way with this lane.
Yeah.
Turning up with a greater than 1,000 gold difference between Gala and About is absolutely massive. But they need to be able to convert that somewhere, and the bot lane simply has not been where the game is played. Dragon does spawn. It looks like, well, Monki isn't there. JunJia's going to start this up, putting us 1 for 1 in dragons during this game.
They're going to even rotate here. They're going to try to put About maybe in another lane. Thinks about it. His team says, nope, straight back to bot lane you go. Likely because he doesn't even have his quest completed. And no fight here coming in for JDG. It's just going to be a full-on turret. The dragon as well. This is a lot of gold going over to Jindong Gaming. This is the level or the pace of play I wanted to see from them. Gala with almost 2,000 gold because he completed his quest. If they get any kills for this Ashe during this fight, he is going to skyrocket way past this gold lead.
Be able to pick some up now. A lot of CC landing onto Karis, who is very quickly out of there. JunJia even committing the ult onto him, only to die. A flash forward from Erha, and it's a second kill picked up for Karis. JDG now heading for the hills, have Vampire without too much left to do. Trying to make it to his tower, but will be unable to. A huge amount of damage from Monki. And we are up 5-1, 13 minutes into the game. The gold lead is small, but WE are feeling just fine.
I think we got to see how powerful a Rise with 2 kills is, by the way. Look at how much damage and how much health this Rise has. He has 2,000 HP, 2,300, all of this Merc Treads value, tier 3 boots upgraded. He's taking every combo. It's an Ashe ultimate, it's Ahri ultimate, it's Vi ultimate, none of it matters. Karis gets out with 200 HP, and WE are able to convert this into 3 kills. That was a 1,200 gold lead we just saw for JDG vanish in an instant with 1 play. Great snapback from WE, and maybe a mistake in terms of the target prioritization coming in from Jindong.
That was literally all the CC they had, by the way. This Rise bordering on Immortal. Unfortunately for Erha, him not so much. Small misposition in the top lane, wanting to get a few more wards for his Immortal mid laner. Will cost him his life. Karis pushed into the side lane for the moment. Just gonna continue shoving waves in against the Ahri, somebody who is absolutely outclassing at the moment.
Side note from this game, WE solo laners have been so good this split. I think if long-time LPL fans were to hear any of us say, man, Cube Karis look like top 5 laners in their position, they would laugh and potentially ask us to get removed from the show. But if you just look at the games, Karis especially has had such an incredible split. This guy coming in from the LCK last year, this WE team didn't seem like they had a lot of firepower, and as the lone Korean at the time, he has really kind of come into his own now here on Team WE, and I think is making a name for himself, potentially the best split of his career.
This game, the perfect opportunity to continue that momentum, and we'll see if they're able to end up top 4 easily after this one. It'll be good, but they do have a ways further to reach, both the solo laners of WE in this league.
Well, you're never taking one, unfortunately. We are in a league with Knight, so you know everyone else can fight for scraps.
Cube
that's kind of how. He's like, Bin's on vacation? Awesome, man. This is great. 369 is behind a rookie. Yeah, maybe it's my time. There's a very fun like socials piece that the LPL did with some of the pro players, and they were asking them like, what do you consider low elo? Some of them said Masters. Knight and Jackie both said that Diamond is considered low elo. Cube, super Giga Chad, he's just like, anything below Challenger is low elo. I'm like, respect, bro. Respect.
That's so crazy, actually.
99% of the player base is low elo. I would agree with that take.
Yeah, I mean, you know, low is just relative, and that flash certainly is not. That was an attempted engage from JDG, and that attempt went sideways. Let's see how sideways it went. I suppose we'll have to find out if Monki actually gets this kill. Looks like HongQ manages to get away intact, so we're all right, but that is Vampire flashless and ultless, and JDG losing the trade and almost again losing their mid laner.
Yeah, 25 seconds before this dragon spawns. HongQ will not have his ultimate. Vampire likely to not have his as well. Do JDG try to contest? It is likely that they will not be able to actually secure the objective, but if they keep WE out on the map and spend their gold, I could very realistically see them actually look to contest. There's no cleanse on about, so maybe they just try to headhunt and look for this Jhin. Likewise, this Rise is a very, very important kill that they need to get under their belt.
Nowhere close to soul for either team, but JDG feels strong enough to fight. After the dragon has gone down, though, are we doing this? Are we fighting for the love of the game? No.
That is not for the love of the game. That is full of malice. That is completely for hate of what I'm watching right now. Dude, Xiaoxu, I feel either whoever called for that TP just sold him down the river. He just wasted a huge summoner spell, which will be up for the next dragon, but that TP shield is really, really important, and I look at the discrepancy between his teleport and Cube's. That could be a play that potentially breaks open this game. WE, second dragon on their side. The gold is about even. I would say that is extremely worth for Team WE.
And so far in this game, they have honestly not found a lot of plays that are not going their way. Most things have been very worthwhile for WE. Whether they be the bits of dragons that they've been able to pick up, the 2 so far, the 3rd perhaps on the way, or even the skirmishes that they found around the mid lane, Monki's quick flash gank to burn HongQ's ult. It is all just passively winning for WE. They're not making any huge, crazy team fight moves just yet, but very casually, WE have found themselves in control of this game, which is only concerning because of the timer that we mentioned in draft. Only concerning because we are coming up on 20 minutes, and JDG's draft does everything that WE's does, but slightly worse.
Yeah, and so you're playing Vi Ahri. I think a lot of folks should be thinking about this combination as a 2-on-2 or a mid-jungle that wants to go into side lanes and go hunt down laners. But who are you killing in this instance? This is Karis with a completed Seraph's Embrace and almost a Roa that's going to be done in a few minutes here. So you're almost never killing this guy. And then it's K'Sante on the other side. Maybe a find the kill on him, but he has Flash. He still has ultimate. He's out for now. Buffers the ultimate.
That's one.
Okay. We killed K'Sante. We had to put all 4 members to kill him. And WE, they traded a turret on top side, and now we're able to transition into mid lane. I see pings going on to Baron. Are we going to have JDG just try to spike the game on this objective? You have a strong AD carry. Gala still has a 2,000 gold lead. I feel like we need to be able to leverage this lead now.
And that's the struggle, is that as much as you'd love to, as JDG, leverage this into something like a Baron, you and I both know it's much too risky for them. The next real objective that they could turn this into is a dragon.
Oh my!
And that dragon's 2 minutes away, and it looks like a team fight away as well. That is a beautiful encore through Karis that actually gets JunJia the kill and maybe turns the entire fight. Vampire, having hit that just in time, helps Xiaoxu pick up a double kill, and JDG, now having found way more picks, might be able to turn this even into the Baron they pinged earlier. Small ult channel from the back line, not going to chew through Xiaoxu, but is going to tickle JDG just a bit. They feel like they can do this Baron now that they've won the team fight. It looks like the answer is no.
That's a very big win, though. You just got to kill onto Karis. You get breathing room here in this game. And I just hope that when I see these inventories and we go back to base, that is going to be something that's able to change this temperature of this game. Did Karis end up taking a turret shot? I would say that's what ends up kind of putting a lot of damage in his back pocket. No, it's just the fact that Gala does 80 damage. Karis has absolutely 0 armor at this point. And like you had mentioned, that encore from Vampire. 3-man, the equalizer over top to finalize that kill onto Monki. This is the kind of fight that we needed to see from JDG. And look, they're not out of this game by any means. It's just as the clock keeps going, and with, I think, the patterns in this game we have seen already, it's just worrisome, right? We have a dragon spawning in 30 seconds. This could still be where JDG kind of use that pressure. Hey, we got Gala closer to his infinity edge. Maybe this is our time to really take over this game number 1.
And at almost any point in the game, what they just did is going to be a pretty successful strategy. Picking somebody off and then turning that into a fight makes a whole lot of worries go away. And JDG were able to do that really well, getting rid of Cube and then baiting WE into a fight that was no good for them. It, granted, almost did work out for WE, but the margin on which JDG were able to take it is only going to get better. Unfortunately, that was terrible. Almost off screen. I mean, Gala is dead, and now WE get to do exactly the same thing to JDG, just a little bit more aggressively, and around an objective they can actually take.
I'm so sorry to everybody at home. How the hell did Gala die?
Literally,
I didn't even
how?
see it. Yeah, I didn't even see it. What? There's going to be people who are, I'm sure I'm getting one guide in chat right now, but how did Gala, what happened? So, does Karis just flash? Oh, okay, I thought he got the spell flux. Oh my, it's Deadly Flourish into just getting ran down in mid. We didn't even see this. It happened so fast, and then they pick off JunJia. That's Baron now here for Team WE. JDG will grab the dragon. He'll even it up. It's likely we're not going to see a soul at least for another 10 minutes, probably longer. But the Baron's going to give them access to so much side lane pressure. They're going to now be able to fix this top and bottom lane wave, and I just see these massive shutdowns on Karis and about.
The amount of gold that you're about to get injected into you as WE. This Baron could very easily break the game open, not just in terms of the economics of the situation, but also the availability of being able to move outside of your base that JDG do desperately need in order to make aggressive plays
We're
and
TPing.
find their way back into this. JDG are going to try and leverage that right now with the TP that has brought Xiaoxu into the bottom side river. Is going to be spotted on the minion wave just now, and I like the idea behind the TP. Doesn't really work out.
Yeah, the thing is that Karis is pushing on top side, and so we actually see that both Cube and Erha actually lean towards this side of the map because JDG ended up teleporting to that side. That's a plate gone, and now it's 2 waves of control. WE are going to play top and mid so they control all of this space, and it makes it just easier because we're not playing for a dragon anytime soon. There's a wave that's actually stacking up now for WE, so essentially they're playing on 2.5 waves. Ash Arrow does not miss. That is something that JDG absolutely need to land. When you have Fog of War, using the plays, using that kind of lack of vision that WE have, that's what we saw them trying to set up for in mid. Never ended up firing off, and now I think they just lose out so much more on the map.
Arrow was aimed at about, and while it wasn't realistically going to kill, it would have been really valuable to burn his cleanse, maybe his flash. About holds on to both of them and now has them for what appears to be the JDG team fight they were looking for. Counter engage comes through from Erha, and this time the Encore is still going to hit 2 members, but has much less impact on the fight. Karis goes golden for a second, but isolated now by JDG, is assassinated. About will join him, and JDG, making things work a little bit at a time, will kill Cube again, turning this into a mid lane tower against a Baron power play.
Oh, that fight was horrible from WE. What was the setup on that one? We had Rise, Realm Warp right into the middle of his team. Baron power play going negative. Monki's going to die. Maybe he hits the 1v1 all over JunJia, but likely that HongQ is just going to hunt the enemy jungler down. And now it is 2 turrets in mid lane with this advantage. JG now spring back. This gold graph at the end of the game is going to be beautiful, Dia. Maybe they even get an inhibitor. That would be incredible for their setup when we're talking about this dragon in 2.5 minutes.
Now, normally for a composition on a timer, I would be looking at around 30 minutes as being the death knell. But because these compositions are very close in what they want to accomplish, we'll take a minute to redefine that after the war.
This, like Erha, I love the look, brother, but none of your team is able to do anything. This equalizer basically sections all of WE away from the damage dealers, and Karis, he just doesn't have the setup. Monkey's not in a position to help him. Cube is just getting shredded by this Ashe. And then they just get to make a complete re-engage. Xiaoxu doing a lot of good work on this Rumble. Had a neutralizing lane matchup, but I think is about 3,000 gold. Yep, well, as we come back to live, he is huge here in this game. And that first strike is allowing him to be half an item up on his opponent. 3-item Rumble here at 27 minutes. A very big boon here for JDG.
That's disgusting. First strike is horrific in and of itself, but turning that into whatever Rumble is right now is terrifying. Cube, once again, this might be a 25-minute takedown, but it is worth fishing for, it appears, for JDG, because WE separated enough from Cube that often there's enough time to run him down.
Got to be careful as JDG. Talk about timers, we talk about item builds. Jhin is now evolving from a lovely mosquito to... I don't even know where I'm going with that, honestly. I don't know what I would actually equate to being a slightly larger, slightly scarier mosquito. Probably a politician. We're going to move him from mosquito to politician.
Well, now this makes me scared about what the next evolution is, because now that we've jumped into politics, I can only hope the game ends quickly.
I didn't say what kind of politician. I just left it very vague.
It's true. WE do have this annoying politician on their side, and about having to play a little bit more carefully right now. Cleanseless for the moment. Does have Fog of War in his favor. JDG ready to pick another fight, but they need to find their moment to do so. HongQ gonna go wide. Equalizer starts things off though, and That does section the fight off well. Unfortunately, HongQ goes wide, and JunJia's 1 HP. Going gold in the front lines. Xiaoxu's done a lot of damage, but has it been enough? Karis is golden as well, and as he comes out, the 3 members of JDG from the backline are able to hunt him down, landing a charm, maybe finally taking out the Rise. Gala picks up a double kill, and About opens up with the curtain call, signaling, weirdly, the end of the fight.
That was an incredibly close one, but Karis and Cube are too far up. About's asking, he's like, ask not what you can do for your team, ask what you can do for your AD carry, and it's nothing here for Team WE. Dragon goes over to JDG, and they're making it work, man. Gala is gliding in these fights, and Xiaoxu with another incredible equalizer. This teleport shield does so much work blocking and mitigating some of the damage that started off this, but now the fight is sectioned. We see that Karis is trying to get damage, but it's all on to JunJia, who at the very last moment flashes away from the spell flux and the overload. And About, you just got to get this damage down. This WE team is really good at being able to get long, drawn-out fights, but because of their relative short range with some of their carries, JDG are just eating them alive right now. Getting that dragon is huge, and then winning this fight. They are just doing everything right, I think, right now in these team fights.
So much damage pumped out by Xiaoxu in that fight. My God, and it's not just the equalizer either. He is getting up in their face with the flame spitter. And he'll have the opportunity to do so once again because we are going from bottom river to top river. With the Baron available, JDG's next fight could very easily take them there. WE have claimed the singular Baron that we have seen so far, but that seems an unlikely thing to reoccur unless they can find some way to mimic what JDG have been doing so far, which is manufacturing really good team fights.
They're doing a really good job of incorporating Xiaoxu into these fights. I think that JunJia's build, because of how much HP it has access to, is actually allowing for him to live, not including the fact that he had a Guardian Angel, which did get procced in that last fight. And again, Gala has maintained such a massive lead in this game and has almost never given it up outside of that one death in mid lane that we saw. So now it's, do we look towards Baron? This seems like a very real possibility, and as Team WE, you do not want to walk into this. Rise has to Realm Warp in, and he still doesn't have Actualizer. He stopped that build to get the Zonias.
WE are going to fight this. Equalizer stalls the engage, so JDG are now a team with Baron, who is probably going to kill you. JunJia says, no boys, we win this, and explodes in the front line. Well, the rest of WE are forced to fight front to back. They have to go shoot through Xiaoxu first. Erha is going to die, but Xiaoxu will fall as well. Karis Golden in the front lines is just tanking for About, who goes down to a charm and a triple kill from Gala.
Max range charm there from HongQ to stop the curtain call. And I think that's going to be the nail in the coffin. That is going to be what JDG need to send themselves to a 1-0 start here in this best of 3. They've got a mid lane wave, and we've got hella long death timers here for Team WE.
Speaking of timers, I mean, timer be damned for JDG. We were worried about this composition falling off, but JDG have been able to meet Team WE exactly where WE was historically strong in the team fights. Being able to pull out the wins here. JDG going to finish this game and take a little bonus kill with it. Erha going to die. Cube, very big. We can hit the Nexus. And we will.
Cube
ending in this game and putting JDG up 1-0.
Cube has been sitting on 2 items for the last like 10 minutes of this game. He was on Kanik Rookern and Xiaoxu, and then had the plated steel for most of this game. I would say that's a bad start, but he just wasn't able to get gold. I think he overgrouped, and we saw WE, their kind of patented style at this point, which is we're going to skirmish, we're going to fight a lot, we're going to basically fight on every single timer available to us, ended up backfiring. Way too many instances where Karis and Cube feel like they're a little bit rushed. Erha trying to save the play, and this is a Jin who was already at a deficit and then needed some more time in the game to actually be able to play, and the fights were just not slow enough. JDG did not give them that position.
And it's funny because this happened, or the advantages for JDG started piling on as I was thinking, oh, well, this composition is probably starting to fall off in comparison to WE's. But that's when JDG were able to hit their stride and actually get everybody together, seemingly just buying enough time for this first strike monster of Xiaoxu to be able to pick up enough gold and make a huge impact. I think really waiting for his item break points and then leveraging Rumble as much as possible bought JDG so much space that on the other side, this, as we said in the early game, immortal Karis was never quite able to mimic. Rise really didn't buy that much space for his team in 90% of the fights that we saw late game.
And because of how the fights were going, I talked about it at the end. It didn't end up doing a ton of work, but Karis had to kind of take a pit stop, went into the Zhonya's Hourglass third, so you don't have that actualizer spike where you're doing 35% bonus damage and your Seraph Shield procs for 1500 HP and you become literally an immortal Rise champion. But we look at the gold difference. I look at Cube's damage, and I do think that's kind of funny, even if he is just playing K'Sante. I thought he was going to be a much bigger threat than what we saw, but this was more of the Cube that we had seen for most of his time here in the LPL. Very little impact, and I think taken advantage of by Xiaoxu's Rumble.
Yeah, I mean, WE as a whole just really struggled with letting people like Cube in these fights have a solid angle on what to do in them. A lot of times, I mean, especially around the mid game, we saw Cube being picked off as being the first thing that happened, and then JDG ended up winning fights. But even in the actual fights where WE had a K'Sante, so often the fight was happening around K'Sante and not in the good way where you're like, ah, yes, everybody's looking at K'Sante. Everybody's ignoring this K'Sante and just killing your carries. And that is partially a Cube thing. That is partially a WE thing. I feel bad because Cube very well could have done well and continue to do so, but didn't really get the opportunity to in this game, whether by his own hand or WE's.
Vampire actually had a really smurf Seraphine game. Outside of the weird flash play that we saw, we were like, okay, you know, everyone gets one. You can't be perfect. You know, it's just, you know, perfect is the enemy of good. And we had a really strong game, even despite some of the early game hiccups. And that is where I think we start to see the delineation of, you know, the top teams here in the LPL versus the middle of the packs. JDG's early game this time around was, I think, pretty weak. We saw WE exploit that. They made a lot of their early plays with this Nefiri, whether it was coming into mid or using the Realm Warp to answer some of these other parts. But the parts that JDG were really happy about were Xiaoxu was basically uninterrupted. We never attacked this Rumble in side lane versus the K'Sante. And then any plays that we made around Gala didn't materialize. And if they did, it was that one death. We never got about back into the game. If we're going to sacrifice a laner, you kind of got to pay him back later in the game. Someone else has to be able to carry, and that never came to fruition here.
Yeah, did a great job to survive into this lane, but Gala and Vampire got to transition the huge amount of free time that they had in the first 16 minutes of it into them doing disgusting things in the team fights. And Gala playing really well. I mean, nobody would question that. The guy was picking up double, triple kills so often in the late game, but his positioning in the backline was great. I also note that even though it did not become hugely relevant during this game, given how quickly it ended, he was also itemizing and playing very defensively during this whole thing. Gala ended up purchasing himself a QSS despite not using it, just being very aware that him being caught out could be a huge liability, and he had the extra income to do it. I think was a great insurance policy for JDG in a game that they were winning to make sure for Gala's part that they were able to convert.
Yeah. It's always funny when I think when you have an Enchantress support, I think the first thought that a lot of people at home are going to have is, you're going to build Mikhails, okay? I'm an AD carry player. I'm going to have all of my damage items. I don't want to pick up a QSS. That's 1,300 gold I could be putting into a BF sword or getting closer to my third and fourth item. But having that agency as the AD carry to say, hey, look, You don't have to build Mikhail's, or if you do, you could use it on someone else. I have my own QSS, plus the 45 magic resist always feels really good. Xiaoxu with player of the game, feels about right. He really did a great job on this Rumble. And I actually did want to check, because we ran a graphic earlier on in the split. We were looking at JDG, and it was Xiaoxu who had every single one of the MVPs. Not the case anymore. Gala and JunJia did pick up 2 individually, but that is now Xiaoxu's 5th, which puts them at a tie for 2nd place.
Yeah, I mean, performed very, very well in Rumble. Absolutely the reason that they were able to win a lot of these fights, just in terms of the raw damage that he was able to do alone. The equalizers ranged from good to great, and that is a much better range than you could ask for from a lot of Rumbles around the world. So I walked away very happy with this Xiaoxu pick, especially because I think Gala would have been very tempting. Vampire would have been a great vote, and I'm very happy that the observers ended up going for it. Thank you, observers. Shout out, a little bit of support, love. But outside of that, I mean, it was really Xiaoxu, Gala, Vampire that I think this was between, and it looks like that did not even get as far as the desk. It was Xiaoxu or Vampire.
Yeah, Xiaoxu did a really, really good job. I want to see more of this, though, because this, to me, feels like the year that Xiaoxu really needs to break out and show that he is a top-level player here in the league. He's been on some middling teams before. He's been decent, but not incredible. And him being the remaining piece of the JDG from last year with Scout and Shun and Pays kind of felt like, okay, we are going to try to build the team around you. You're a really decent top laner. If we can put some good players around you, if we can put the coaching staff with Zoom staying on and Tabe joining, you can be an elite level top laner here in the LPL. And that has waxed and waned as the year has gone on, partly due to JDG's own misgivings, but games like this and the performance so far that he's had this split in terms of getting Pogs is starting to shine, and hopefully JDG can harness that.
Yeah, could be a really good series for him if they're able to close this out. JDG now up 1-0 in this series that, by all accounts, should be one of the closest ones that we have today. WE with a chance to bring it back in our next game, but as to whether